Hello, this is Dan on Nikes, and welcome back. This is the last part in my 4-hour, 47-minute Jurassic difficulty challenge mode. Where we left off, I was just over 3 stars, and this video, a little over an hour and a half, is going to take us to the 5-star, the completion mark. Just wait for it to load here. Alright, you can see that my contract status is pretty good, or my reputation status is pretty good. I've got all 3 reputations up pretty high. That does not really do very much. There's no additional income that comes from that, unfortunately, but it does kind of help to prevent them getting angry at each other and factions sabotaging me. In terms of dinosaurs, I've got this bottom right pin that has 3 Ceratosaurus, 6 Velociraptor. Bottom left pin has 8 Dracorex. The other bottom left pin has 4 Ankylosaurus, 4 Crichtonsaurus. The top right, I've got 2 pins. The bottom of them is my Ceratopsid pin. I've got some Triceratops, Sinoceratops, Styracosaurus. Then the top of those pins has Edmontosaurus, Corythosaurus, and Struthiomimus. The only other pin that has dinosaurs right now is in the top left of the park, northwest corner, and that has, there are 2 pins there. One has 12 Dilophosaurs and 3 Ceratosaurus. The other one has 2 Baryonyx. So not tons of dinosaurs right now. Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4... 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 species. So less than halfway there in terms of the species that I need. In order to get rid of the variety penalty, you have to be at 25 species or higher. The variety penalty does drop every time that you add a new dinosaur. I believe the variety penalty starts at 60%. So if you incubate a Struthiomimus that's worth 9 points, you're going to lose 5 or 6 points off of that dinosaur in the moment that it's incubated. But it gets down close to 5% or so by the 24th dinosaur. So what that means is that your last couple dinosaurs, they all get a bonus of 100 some odd points. Now, I mean, it's not a true bonus, but because they eliminate the variety penalty. Now what I do is, you'll see in this video, I don't worry about the 25 for a while. I deal with stuff that is kind of cost efficient. That's what I try to go by. Velociraptor, Ceratosaurus, Dilophosaurus, they're all pretty cost efficient. The Baryonyx, a little bit less so, but not too bad. Ankylosaurus, Crichtonsaurus, Dracorex, also all cost efficient. Sinoceratops, cost efficient. Triceratops, not as much. Corythosaurus, not as much. Then Styracosaurus and Edmontosaurus are 2 that are they're expensive actually. They're not just not cost efficient, they're actually cost inefficient. But they come pretty early. I ended up using them this round. I think I have 4 Styracosaurus and 2 Edmontosaurus, and I just, for whatever reason, felt that it was worthwhile. You probably should have at least 1 of each by the time you get to the end. But earlier on, I don't know, maybe could have done a little bit better job optimizing my dinosaurs. You probably heard me, disparage this attempt several times throughout this video series, and it's not that I'm certainly down on myself or anything like that. But I do think that there's a lot of additional room for optimization. I'm at 4 hours and 47. That's my current record. That's what you're watching right now. I think it's very possible to get, for me, without changing strategies, just with optimizing, to get below 4.5 hours. And I think that if you come up with some additional good strategies, then 4 hours is very possible. Someone on the forum on Reddit asked me if I thought 3 hours was possible. That's going to be tough. You really, you're starting to run out of time to extract the DNA that you need to get to 25 dinosaurs at that point. You probably can, given that it's so much faster to get to 50% genome than it is to 100% genome. But you really have to kind of math it out, know exactly what dinosaur you're going to breed at exactly what time, and get the right contracts and get storms that aren't too damaging and stuff like that. So maybe in the future, someone will be able to get to 3 hours. I don't know that that's going to be me. If you've kind of been watching what I'm doing on the screen here while I'm incubating these Dilophosaurs, I have been checking on my Velociraptors because several of them were very low health, and the reason for that is a lack of food. Now, that's not a lack of provided food. What that means is that is a lack of food eaten. The way that the AI is written for these dinosaurs, the small carnivores, is that they're going to prioritize safety, meaning that if there's a large dinosaur around, they're either going to panic or they're going to start a fight and then realize that they're outmatched and then panic. But they're not going to feel comfortable enough to sit down and eat. So they all have to wait until all the Ceratosaurus dinosaurs, all three of them, are on the other side. And I do have 2 feeders in there. And that should be enough. I'm just making sure that I don't need to do anything more active. Once dinosaurs get down below, 35% or something like that, they don't look for food or water. Here I am checking on the health again. Yeah, but once they're below 35%, they don't look for food or water. They just kind of sit down and rest. And when they sit down and rest, they are a sitting duck for our large carnivore. So, you see, it said that they were fighting. They're at 6. They're within their social limit. It's not a true fight where they actually attack each other, but it's a little territorial display or something like that. And I think it was the fact that they were quote-unquote fighting is what triggered that change in music. All right, so my goals at this point. I do have that extra pin right here near the hotel that has Huyangosaurus and Chunkingosaurus. All right, so my goal at this point is, I got to get the Dilophosaurs, get up to 12 Dilophosaurs in that top northwest pin. I've got 12 in the bottom. Here you see me releasing one more. I think that puts me up to 4 or 6. I forget which. So I've got a little bit more that I need to churn out there. And I got to get my Diplodocus going. Got to get the Brachiosaurus, Camarasaurus. All of those are going to go in that big kind of central north-ish, west-ish. I guess west is what I'm calling that one. They're going to go in those west pins. And that really, I guess I'm at 15 dinosaurs right now. If you add Diplodocus, Camarasaurus, and Brachiosaurus, that puts me at 18. Then I gotta put 7 more dinosaurs out, 7 more species. So I think I do Stygimoloch and Pachycephalosaurus. That gets me down to 5. And then in the last couple of minutes, I think I just released 5 species of dinosaur. All right, if you remember me griping about the fact that I had that, breed a Diplodocus contract, and I got that a long time ago, over half an hour ago, and I thought it'd be an easy one to complete because I spammed Diplodocus like crazy, but I ended up taking way too much time. So, oh well. Yeah, I'm finally getting around to it though. They do take a long time to incubate. That's one of the few downsides of all of the sauropods.
I've looked this gig over. You should too.
All right. Here I am. It's 4 hours. Well, no, 3.5 hours in. I'm over 3 stars, and I am still deleting bad contracts and hunting for good contracts. and that is just something that I pretty much do until very, very close to the end of the game. You have to pay money to play, pay money to get rid of the bad contracts, but I really am a believer that it is a worthwhile thing to do. Periodically go around and check all of my different guest facilities and make sure that
I
all
know
of the
you've
ones in
handled
the
work like this in
Northwest.
the past, so this
Uh,
contract
I've
should
got
be
a
right
lot
up
of
your alley.
points up in the Northwest between all the the Dilophosaurs and three
One of the best ways to
Ceratosaurus and
keep
two
guests
Baryonyx.
safe is to be able to
So that's going
accurately
to pull a
predict how the
greater
dinosaurs
percentage
will
of the
respond to
visitors
certain
up to that
situations.
corner, and I was a little bit low in terms of the capacity I had in my restaurant and my clothes shop up there, and then the gyrosphere tour.
Responding to resupply request.
One of the things that becomes a challenge towards the end, and you see me wrestling with this right now, I don't have very much money. And part of the reason
The
why
cost of doing business
is
going up.
because it just costs so stinking much to keep all of my feeders, stocked. And that's one of the advantages if you move quickly. In many ways, it's actually easier to complete Jurassic fast than it is to complete Jurassic over a long period of time. First time I played, I wasn't concerned about how long it took me. I just wanted to get a feel for it, figure out if I could develop any type of strategy. But most of all, I just wanted the achievement and that the skin. And it took me 12 hours. This game was much, much easier. Now, yes, I do have a lot of developed strategies, but the longer you go, the more feeders you've got, the more storms you have to deal with, all of that type of thing. And it just gets kind of tedious. But if you manage the dinosaurs well, you choose the efficient ones to breed, you put yourself in a scenario where you got a lot of aggressive instincts mods that are increasing your cost efficiency and increasing the value of your dinosaurs, the dinosaur rating, then it actually becomes a lot easier to manage. Even though, like I was just complaining about, I do get frustrated. I was down to $100,000, $200,000 or something like that. All right, so here I've got this pen. I'm about to put a feeder in when I release my first Diplodocus, and I realize I have a whole bunch of trees. Now, having a bunch of trees is a good thing because that's what the Brachiosaurus and Camarasaurus likes, but I need a way for my ranger to get in there and get through and not get stuck in all of those trees. So that's what I'm just kind of clearing that channel. And then I'll put the gate right there so Ranger can get in.
Way to get it done.
So what I end up doing, and I don't know that this is right or wrong or just a matter of preference. I end up kind of rotating through Diplodocus and Brachiosaurus, and then one, then the other, then one, then the other. That way I kind of keep track. Other games, I've bred a whole bunch of Diplodocus and I've bred a whole bunch of Brachiosaurs. I figured that getting one of each out sooner was going to get my variety bonus or my variety penalty down a tiny bit. It probably does. I probably get marginally more income by doing it that way. But once you have one of each, then there is, as far as I know, having played a whole bunch and done a bunch of math, there is no bonus for having two of any dinosaur. There is only a bonus for having one of that
Here's
dinosaur.
something that you might find interesting.
So you could have one Struthiomimus or you could have 100 Struthiomimus, and you are still
We've
going to
only
have
scratched the surface of what's
if that's the
possible
only
with the
dinosaur you
genetic
have, you're
origins
still going to
of
have
our
the same
planet.
variety
Today,
penalty
prehistoric life
percentage.
forms. Tomorrow, who knows?
Alright, storm warning. You know the routine. Save the game just in case it is awful. although I didn't restart any of these games, and I usually do everything that I
knew you'd be
can
able
to
to
try
finish that
to not
contract.
restart.
And my belief in you has been rewarded.
Then open all the
Thanks.
shelters. That way, if dinosaurs escape, the guests are not going to get hurt and sue me. Check the map. It looks like I didn't hear a tornado. I don't see a tornado, so I think I'm probably safe. Once I know there's not a tornado, then I just go about my business. Go ahead and release the Diplodocus. There's no reason to sit and wait out a storm. These storms really don't do very much other than
When I was younger,
make your dinosaurs
I prayed for
uncomfortable
opportunities
and
like the one that just crossed my
occasionally
desk.
damage some of
Take
your
that as a
buildings.
hint.
Hey, how'd you like to be even more busy? How's a new contract sound?
Got this one several times. The maintain facility rating of 5 stars. You can see it automatically starts ticking down. I don't really maintain 5.0 star facility
I'm
rating
bringing this contract to you
constantly.
while it's still hot.
It's not uncommon for me to
I've always considered
to
myself
maintain,
a bit of an adventurer, and a
4.5,
lot of luxury
4.8,
hotel
something like
fan,
that. But
So enjoy
I am
your
always
time in
close
the
enough
dirt.
to where if I need a contract to do it, then I'm able to do it. You can actually see the maintain facility. That counter stopped at 2 minutes and 50 seconds. That's going to restart to 3 minutes in just a minute. The reason for that is because of the storm. There's just no way to have a 5.0 star facility rating, during a storm. And there is still something a little bit funky with some of the Jeep AI, in the sense that you can tell 2 of them to head in the same direction and they kind of get caught. So very unusual. I'm gonna have to manually clear that out, fix some stuff, and then
Thanks for helping create
you can
entertainment.
see. Still trying to figure out why is this guy not heading down. And there he goes. Storm is gone. Close the shelters. And again, I play on a PC, so it is. I wish I knew a faster way to turn around, but I don't. Gotta love the accuracy. I have the accuracy 1.0 upgrades, but didn't seem to do very much.
Asset reported.
Alright, I got notification of a second sick dinosaur and now a third sick dinosaur. I realize all of my Jeeps are down at the bottom, so add a new team. I don't want this to get out of control. And then Ranger Team 3 is up here, so I'm just going to drive on in. Yeah, in some ways, I enjoy dealing with tornadoes more than with sick dinosaurs. Now, the downside risk of a tornado is much, much, much greater. It takes longer to recover, but sick dinosaurs, just trying to get all of them healed and back to full health before they pass their sickness
Asset
on.
dealt with.
It's pretty frustrating.
New objective received. Asset in range.
Probably should just let the AI take over at this point. I'm starting to get a little bit behind on some of the other things that are going on in terms of
Asset does not require medication.
yeah, finally I think I just decided, screw it. Tired of
No
chasing stuff
problem.
around. I'm going to let the AI deal with that. Got to get my expeditions going. Got to get my contracts going. Still have to fix that arcade. I've got the other 2 Rangers that should be back to the station pretty
Which
soon.
means you want to take it too.
So here I'm doing
Correct.
Ranger 2. Fix that on your way back up.
Yes,
and
well, we've already broken the primordial and prehistoric
get
egg,
some more help for
as
sick
it were. So,
dinosaurs.
you know, why not hatch a few more?
Of course, there's another one back down in the bottom left. This is the disadvantage to only having one ranger station and
Confirmed.
having it in one area of the park is that you do have 3 ranger teams, or at least up to 3 ranger teams, but you know, it does take a little bit of time to get back and forth, and that's something to deal with. Yeah, I'd be willing to be convinced
If you
that
can
it's
complete
a
this contract, I
good
can see good
investment
things in your
money-wise, along
If
with
you fail, I see me in your
time-wise,
future.
in terms of, you know, the number of clicks that you needed to spend, you know, curing dinosaurs, to have 2 ACUs and 2 ranger stations, or even potentially even 3, depending on your park layout. One of the things that I mentioned in my other videos, if you happen to come in on this one, or in case you forgot, I spread my pins out all over the park, and it is not convenient for me in any way, but what it does is it basically guarantees
Our
that
guests enjoy the
the
large
most that any
dinosaurs.
one tornado is going to do is wipe out 1 pin. You know, either they're going to get the northeast, or they're going to get the northwest, or they're going to get the southeast or the southwest. But the odds of them getting more than one area of the park is pretty unlikely.
Repair request acknowledged.
I do have one more tornado that comes through, and it's actually, I think it's a frustrating one to deal with, if I remember correctly. Alright, so I get another incubate Triceratops mission. This one actually gets me in trouble.
Diplodocus. It's fun, right? Diplodocus.
Triceratops
I mean,
has a
the
social
name,
max of
Diplodocus.
6.
It's fun to say.
What that means is that you cannot have more than 6 Triceratops in one pen at any one time, or else they start getting kind of upset with each other. And here, I'm pretty sure they start getting upset with each other, but we'll wait and see. Alright, notice I've got 1.5 million. That's not good for another 2 sauropods. So Brachiosaurus go, Diplodocus go. Do a quick check just to make sure that the dinosaur comfort is good. If my Diplodocus is happy in terms of grassland, then I think any other sauropod just about is going to be happy, if not all of them. And then if my Brachiosaurus is okay with the trees and is like 50% more or something like that, then I know that my Camarasaurus is going to be good. Now here I'm starting to do math. 4716 plus 7, whatever it was, I'm about 5,500 when I add the variety bonus, and assuming that by the end of the game I'm not going to have a variety penalty. I keep saying variety bonus. I mean variety penalty. There's never a bonus for variety. It's just a removal of the penalty. But I'm starting to figure out, and I do have a spreadsheet, and I keep the spreadsheet and do math on that and figure out how many of XYZ dinosaurs. This game I actually I winged it a little bit more than I normally do. Normally I have an exact number of you know, at this point I pause the game, figure out an exact number of you know, what I've got, or what I need. So I actually think my issue with the Triceratops here might be that it is maximum of 16 population. So 6 social, 6 population. I think I'm okay right here, maybe, but
We are pleased to welcome a Triceratops to the park.
I do remember I have some type of issue. Now maybe it's after a tornado. We will find out. Alright, these are the easiest missions in the world. Apply hatchery capacity.
Nice work.
Just remove the one, doesn't cost any money to remove. Add it back again, cost me $20,000. Get an easy $50,000 or something
I'd
like
like
that.
to make you an offer you can't refuse. I mean, you can, of course, but why would you?
So look here to figure out just how close I am to 3 stars. dinosaur rating. I think I keep this mission, and it's not a very good mission. But my thinking is I got to get there eventually. It'll help me kind of gauge my progress as I go. So even though I'm going to get a little bit less money, it helps me keep my eye on the prize a little bit more in terms of getting the dinosaur rating, the total dinosaur rating up there. I mean, here I am. I've got basically an hour left in the game. I'm about 3 hours 45 minutes in at this point, and hour left in the game, and I'm at 2.1 dinosaur stars. So that should tell you that the first first 3/4 or 4/5 of the game is always going to be low dinosaur numbers, or dinosaur overall dinosaur rating, dinosaur stars, however you want to categorize that. That's just the way Jurassic goes. It says that the dinosaur requirements are colossal, and they are not lying. It is 10,000 points divided by 10,000 dinosaur rating total, including modifications, combat, infamy, and health, and all of that stuff. And in order to not have any penalty for variety, you've got to have 25 different species. I do pretty regularly use my my management view in order to see where where stuff is needed, and it's telling me that my drink rating is a little bit low. I think it's low enough to to maintain 5 stars. I think I've written on my website that it's minimum 80%, but I think it's actually a little bit more complicated than that. Usually if you're above 80%, you're all right, but here I'm at 73% drink rating, and I just completed a mission that required me to have 5-star facility rating for 3 minutes. So I was able to at least complete that mission with with 73% drink rating. I think it's more the distance between attractions and facilities, combined with the amount of stars that the facilities give off, combined with is there any lack of capacity.
With this contract,
all that
opportunity
type
is
of
knocking.
thing.
Or around here, more precisely, roaring.
But generally, getting 5-star facility is so easy once you know what to do, what to look for. That I don't spend very much time trying to figure that part of the game out. I just know that I can do it. Got on my Camarasaurus genome. It is a relatively efficient dinosaur with very high point value. So for that reason, I like it. It's not necessarily the most efficient, but it's not bad. It's above average. Anything that's above average with a high point value ends up, that's available early on, I should say, ends up being in the park. Apatosaurus is also a pretty good dinosaur. And I've always loved the Apatosaurus, and back when I was young, the Brontosaurus was considered part of the Apatosaurus, and they were the same genus, and because the Apatosaurus was named first, it had rights over the Brontosaurus, and now there was a paper that was released a couple of years ago saying that the Brontosaurus should be considered its own separate genus, and I think that I'm not an expert on dinosaurs, but I think that argument was pretty persuasive to most paleontologists, and so nowadays there is such a thing as a Brontosaurus again, which means it is only a matter of time before we get a Brontosaurus in game. I mean, if you have the fake Velociraptor, the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World Velociraptor that was modeled after a Deinonychus. At least that's what, if you go back and you look Michael Crichton interviewed John Ostrom, who's the paleontologist who kind of wrote the book on Deinonychus, and that was the inspiration. But he thought Velociraptor was a better name, and who can blame him? By the way, for those of you who have not figured it out, my pseudonym Deinonychus is kind of a mispronunciation of Deinonychus, which was one of my favorite dinosaurs pre-Jurassic Park growing up. But if you can have, in this game, you can have 3 of the same species of dinosaur in different developmental stages, and they're all considered one dinosaur. Of course, I'm talking about the Pachycephalosaurus, and I think general wisdom is right now, or general thinking is that the Stygimoloch and the Dracorex are, juvenile forms of the Pachycephalosaurus. Then, of course, Velociraptor, the Jurassic Park Velociraptor was modeled after the Deinonychus and made a little bit bigger than Deinonychus. And then you got both of the raptors and the Deinonychus in the game. There's certainly nothing stopping the developers from adding a Brontosaurus in addition to the Apatosaurus. And arguably the science is more on their side for that than it is for either of the other 2 issues I mentioned.
You've done well with this latest contract. This may be our finest research to date, and given where we are and what we do, that is really saying something.
Alright, so I had got some more Triceratops, and here we go. I begin to notice a fight's begun between these 2 Triceratops, and my social is too high. So I think it was a contract that made me do this. So right now I'm kind of panicking. I'm thinking,
looking for new challenges.
Here I am recording what's supposed to be a good playthrough, and I make a dumb mistake. End up having Triceratops fight each other. So I was trying to pick the earliest 3, figuring that they might die by the end of the game. So I killed off 1 and 2 to Ceratosaurus, and so I'm looking for 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to put them in a different pen, and that takes a little while.
Security isn't always clean or easy, but it is always necessary.
In case you haven't heard my soapbox on the dinosaur visibility and the other, the coverage for shelter coverage is another one. That type of stuff. Those are okay as long as they're not 90, 100%. Once you get up in the upper echelons, they're pretty frustrating to complete. Now here, my thinking is that maybe dinosaurs, I've got dinosaurs that are out of the range, out of viewing distance right now, and they'll walk back into viewing distance, and I can get up to 75%. I actually don't remember how this turned out, but I would kind of be doubtful. And I accidentally tranked a Sinoceratops instead of a Triceratops. Yeah, so I just gotta pick him up and set him right back down. I wish there was a way to untrank a dinosaur without actually having the ACU come over and pick it up and pull it back. Thought about selling, and then I figure I can just put him in the pen next to it.
On that expedition. Way to go.
En route to pick up the asset.
And my trikes are still fighting each other. As long as I don't lose any, I know that they will go back to full health once once their comfort goes back up and all of their social and population requirements are met. Right now, if I were to look at my overall dinosaur rating, I would probably see that I'm losing significant points for
a little more, don't you think?
for health penalty,
So why not give this new contract
welfare
a
penalty or
once-over?
whatever that's called. But I usually
Don't
don't worry about that in the short term. Only if I have something that's long-term systemic that is going to prevent me from having a healthy dinosaur towards the end of the game, that's when I start to
Transit has...
get more proactive. Other than that, I do what I can to manage the problem and just assume it'll go away eventually. By the way, these extra 2 pins, the only reason I created them was for the last-minute dinosaurs. This is not something, I'm talking about the extra 2 pins right here in the northeast part of the park. This is not something that I would do from the beginning of the game. I used to. That's how my very first good time, I think 6 hours and 41 minutes or something like that. That's how I fed everything in the beginning. I just, had almost everything grouped up there. All of the 1 and 2 star island dinosaurs. I had a Ceratosaurus pen. I had, space for ceratopsids, space for stegosaurids, space for duckbills and ornithomimids. And I would get tornadoes that would come through there, and it would just be a nightmare. They'd all get spread into different
I've heard
pens.
good things about the expedition.
They all
You
have,
certainly made the
I
science
grouped them
fiction
by
stuff.
social and population limits
And of
and
course you
habitat
too.
requirements.
I'm not forgetting, just
Get the wrong
prioritize
dinosaur in
it.
the wrong pen, and it can throw something off. You plan for 16 ceratopsids or 15 ceratopsids so that your your cynos, styracos, and trikes don't get upset, and you end up with 1 struthie in there. Even though the struthie is never going to be annoyed at just about anything, all of a sudden all of those Triceratops and Styracosaurus and Sinoceratops, they just go crazy, and they all escape all at once, and it's a hassle. And then if they escape into another pen, then it's
The
just
new contract just
not
came in.
worth it. You'll actually see me struggle a little bit. It was probably a bit premature. It would have been worthwhile to just sell those Triceratops or something like that instead of move them to the other pen, because I end up with some of the same issues. So I'm trying to keep
Heading to collect the
keep
asset.
as many dinosaurs going as possible. You can see I went down to $6,000. I've got enough income right now between the expeditions and just my park income. I'm not really worried. If something were to come up, I can have money coming in pretty soon. And even if not, there's things you can do. You can sell shelters. You can sell storm defense stations. There's not going to be tons more research that I'm going to be doing at this point. Only I think 1 more star's worth of medical research, so I can sell the research center to generate some quick cash. In fact, all of those are highly recommended at the end of the game in order to get the dinosaurs out if you're having cash issues. In this game, I think I was too slow and ended up having enough cash to breed everything. I didn't need to turn around and sell anything. But if you got let's say you got 5
We don't always
five
get offers
shelters,
like this. Consider it
it's
carefully.
about $100K each. You can sell anything visibility related. I've got 2. I've got 1. Whatever the guest thing is where the visitors go to watch the dinosaurs, viewing platform. That's another $100K. Research station, you can sell that for $300K, something like that. You're getting close to $1 million. Storm defense is not going to be needed for the last 10-15 minutes of the game. I don't know, maybe a storm comes in and you just kind of get royally screwed, but yeah, it's usually a worthwhile risk. I guess it's just the thing is, it's important to remember that the only thing that matters at the end of the game is that you've got the dinosaur points where you need them, which is 10,000 points, 25 species, or more points in 24 species, or even more in 23 species. However you decide to do that. I think it's easier just to knock out the penalty. And then you need a 5-star rating, which means you got to have safe guests. Safe does not mean that you have shelters around. It just means that they feel safe. There's no deaths, no active storm, anything like that. And then you got all of the food and all of that stuff satisfied. All right, so another storm comes in. I think this is the big one, or at least the biggest one. So I save the game, open all my shelters. Just kind of keep looking for it to finally hit. And there we go, tornado, and it's coming through, tearing up all of my pins. So, as I typically do, I jump in the Jeep, I try to get around the tornado on the other end. And then I try to, this stupid minus is starting to annoy me. Try to kind of follow the tornado around. Here I don't necessarily do the greatest job. Typically, I don't really panic, but I get a little bit stuck, so I grab a different Jeep and try to close off the dinosaurs that I can. That sound, the cracking sound, I think I took it from the very original Jurassic Park where all the fences could snap apart. That sound kind of does haunt my nightmares sometimes. But I know that once it gets out of this pen, there's no way it's going to get down to the other area of the park, so I don't worry about that. I just, goal number one is to get get all of my pins in decent shape. At first I thought the breach was on this side, but now I've got to drive around. This is a little bit of a bad play by me. I've got all of this thick stuff that I can't get through. And it turns out the hole in the fence was farther up. So I've got 3 holes there. And my issue, as I mentioned, is that I've got too many Triceratops. And so right now, both of the ceratopsid pens are kind of enclosed to each other, which means that not only are all the Triceratops upset because their social limit is too high, all of the other ceratopsids, their population is too high. So the Triceratops are all running for it. Yeah, well, this is a bad news because I lose power. That's not a good thing, so I jump in the Jeep.
Requesting repair.
Figure I've got to manually repair stuff. It is usually faster to do everything manually. It just kind of comes to the question of, is it worth it to spend the time to do it manually or to spend the time to do something else? And I check. Got my power back on. And all of my raptors are nicely distracted because I've got the Ceratosaurus in there. So all sorts of dinosaurs on the loose.
Asset requiring collection.
A little bit premature here, putting too many Triceratops. And I just realized, that's Triceratops 5. That belongs in the other feeder. The other pin, I should say. Try to multitask as much as I can. Release a whole bunch of dinosaurs. Got the expeditions are back. I've got the fossils ready to extract, but I've got other stuff I'm worried about. This is the biggest issue with the storms, in my opinion. You can fix everything. I mean, you can trank dinosaurs and move them back. It does cost a little bit of money.
Collecting asset.
But and it just heard somebody messing with a fence. I heard that myself, and I go down, and Mr. Velociraptor, even though he's at 100% comfort, is still attacking the fence. The nice thing is that usually they'll do that. They'll get stung by the electricity, and then they will decide, I don't really want to mess with that. And that's what happened there. So I keep my eye on them, but But yeah, the hard thing about the storms is that prevents you from doing all of the normal stuff. So the 3 minutes I lost in terms of getting expeditions out, the time that I'm losing of in terms of the income from guests since I've got all my shelters open. They're not buying anything. They're
Picking up
fearful.
asset.
I'm not earning very much money. I don't know if I'm earning any money on restaurants and clothing shops and all of that type of stuff.
Asset has been
Here, I
delivered.
finally decided I'm going to close the shelters, but I still have an issue
En route to collect
potentially.
the asset.
You'll see what it is in just a sec. Starting to get my sauropods out. I usually put them all in one big area. Nice thing about about my Jurassic strategy is that my backbone dinosaurs really are they're sauropods, they're small carnivores with a handful of large carnivores, and any of those three can live with each other, and they're not going to. As long as you don't have small with small and large with large in terms of carnivores, they're all going to get along. The smaller guys are going to panic from the bigger guys. I think the large carnivores might panic from the sauropods. I actually don't remember if that's the case or not.
En route to top-up feeder. Adding task. Asset.
So I think what I did is I put one too many Triceratops back in that main pen. And here we go, fence broken. So I am at this point I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to figure out what it is, and there we go. That Triceratops ends up
Asset delivery
escaping.
confirmed.
It's kind of a fortunate fence. They don't get out and they don't mess with my park visitors, but at least not yet. This is all kind of a second order issue that comes from
Asset has been transported.
all of the chaos with the tornado. So that's obstructed until the Triceratops goes through, and I can drive through. And again, I'm a terrible driver in this game. So get my ACU on the trike. I don't actually know why his comfort was so low
No
at that
problem.
point, but it was because he certainly was not over his social, and he was not over his population. His habitat in there. Oh, you know what? I think I remember what it is. The habitat in there is not good because I forgot to put in trees. So that's not even really a product of the storm. That's just kind of bad planning on my part.
En route to pick up the asset.
Nodosaurus, like Ankylosaurus and Crichtonsaurus, is a pretty efficient dinosaur. And any dinosaur that takes two aggressive instincts, the Nodosaurus only has two defense slots and no attack slots, so it can only have the modification twice. I throw the a skin modification on there, get that extra 25%. It's not more cost efficient, but it's more points,
Asset
it's
to be
less time.
collected.
So I think that's pretty worthwhile.
In the air.
Here you pretty much see I've got all of my Hammond labs, kind of incubating on a cycle, trying to churn out dinosaurs as much as possible. Right now I have one of those rare lulls in the game. Waiting on expeditions to get back. I've got everything else. Well, there's the illusion of everything else under control. I think I've got another issue coming up in just a moment here. And that's pretty rare at the end where you've got that kind of time. So I'm heading to Asia for all of the Asian fossils. I do like the Archaeornithomimus and Gallimimus because they're both relatively efficient, and B, they're both relatively cheap. Makes it very easy for me to put one of each out at the very end of the game. Alright, and this is where I realize, wait a second, how in the world are these guys uncomfortable? And then I realize it is the lack of forest. So put some forest in there pretty quickly.
We'll definitely put those extra funds you earned on that contract to good use. The security division is all that stands between our animals and catastrophe. Good to know we have the resources to stay vigilant.
Nice thing is that these trikes, even though they do escape and they become, potential hazard to guests, they're on the very opposite side, away from all of the other guests, so I don't have to open all my shelters. I can just go trank them as they run around the edge. And the ranger in behind them
Responding to repair request.
fix the gates.
Request acknowledged.
All right, this is what I'm talking about.
Starting to get close to 3.0 star for dinosaurs. Really, once you start getting all of your Dilophosaurus and your Diplodocus and Brachiosaurus going, and then I've got some Camarasaurus that I've got out. It really starts to snowball. And that's the nice thing at the end of the game. You can feel like you're still pretty far away from the end, but everything moves pretty quickly. My experience is that probably the first star and the last star of the game are the fastest to complete. I mean, the last star I think is definitely the fastest to complete, just because you get rid of that variety penalty so quickly once you turn out additional dinosaurs. The first star, the fastest I ever have been, is a little over half an hour. But usually that doesn't take me longer than an hour. If I've kind of got a slower start, it'll be about an hour.
The Hammond
At this point,
Foundation
though, I'm
is
trying
increasing its cut.
to increase my
And
time
we'll
as
be
much as
expecting
possible,
you
so
to
if I don't get a
maintain
good
this
start,
fee moving forward.
I could still very easily complete the game in less than 6 hours. But I'd rather have a great start and then work from there. Just kind of the economics of hunting for a better time.
Confidence is high, and your operation is running smoothly. Perhaps I was wrong about you.
There goes the
You've created
3-star
a
dinosaur
Notosaurus.
threshold.
The name
Getting pretty
means
close to
knobbed lizard.
4-star park rating.
It's a tough dinosaur. I guess you would be too with that name.
Look, it's a balancing act. I get it. We all do. My point is, you need to provide the right amount of space for your dinosaurs. And this small enclosure ain't cutting it.
You've done some impressive work, and I thought I was the only competent one around here.
I love how all of the characters in the game are just so self-righteous and snobby. Alright, at this point I need to, one of the other things you can see, this is hotel number 5. In order to get 5-star rating at the end of the game, you need to make sure you have 7 hotels. I have tried to make it work with 6, and I just cannot. What ends up happening is that the moment I get to 10,000 dinosaur rating, it's like all of a sudden, immediately I get a surge of additional guests into the park. Park overcrowding goes up. and my
We need
facility
to keep
rating goes
looking
down.
for other dinosaurs we may be
So
able to
I,
domesticate. Well,
one of the
more
things that I
accurately,
prioritize
put
in
on
this
the road
end
to
game is not just
domestication.
getting dinosaurs
The
out,
way
but
we'll be able to control
I've got to
them
get
is by
gotta
letting
get
them
hotels
control
out
themselves,
as well.
their natural hierarchy.
So I think
That
this
means
is
we need more
my 5th
samples.
hotel, and I think
This
I need to
expedition
put 2
can
more
help.
in. Does not really matter all that much where you put them, as long as they're, within throwing distance of some food and drink and fun and shopping. So don't put them way away from everything else. But other than that, the reason I put that one where it is, kind of in that southish, east-ish part of the, or west-ish part of the park, I thought that I would end up needing another dinosaur pen, but then I realized that I could probably work things out with just what I had. And the reason for my thinking is Nodosaurus. That's a dinosaur that has a relatively low social and relatively low pop limit. And I'm going to be adding the Pachycephalosaurus and the Stygimoloch. Stygimoloch, I think I have 4 Styggies and 8 Pachy's, or 6 Pachy's, or something like that. I think Pachy's limit is 10. Their total population limit is 10. And I was worried about having enough pins for all of them, but in the end I ended up not using it.
Bracing for storm contact. Handing
Alright, I
over
get a
the
storm
wheel.
warning, so I'm just decided I'm going to let my Jeep handle the sickness.
Setting additional task.
The only downside of all of those sauropods is that they are very hard to drive around, and I didn't realize that. And what ends up happening is this disease
Confirmed.
spreads like wildflowers. I guess it could spread like wildflowers.
Asset requiring collection. Task received.
Once I see that I'm up to 3 sick dinosaurs, then
Request acknowledged.
I guess I just keep the two teams. But they're treating them quickly, but it's just spreading even faster. It ends up being a nightmare. I've wondered, and I don't know the answer to this question yet. If the same disease, let's say you have Dinosaur X get sick, and then Dinosaur X gets cured, and then the sickness keeps going around, does it come back around to Dinosaur X a second time, or once it's infected all the dinosaurs who have, who are in that pen, does it kind of stop there? And I don't know the answer to that. Just got the complete genome for the Chasmosaurus. This is that's actually a pretty efficient dinosaur. Once you add, I think it's efficient without any modification, but once you add the aggressive instincts 1.0 to it, and it's a very good dinosaur to breed. Unfortunately, it comes late-ish in the game. I mean, I've got half an hour left before I finish the game, and there's just not a lot of time to breed a whole bunch of Chasmosaurus. At this point, I've got enough stuff to breed. It's just a matter of having the money and getting it all out. And if I wanted to be a little bit more aggressive here, I could probably start to sell stuff like I mentioned before, but I wasn't sure exactly how fast it would be, if I'd need to be prepared for another storm to come in. So given that I'd been recording this game for 4 hours, I figured I might as well continue with a little bit of a conservative route. At this point, I already had a guess that I would beat my best time. I think my best time before then was 5:06, and I was pretty convinced that I'd be under 5 hours at this point, just from prior games. I think this break in the game is me referring to my spreadsheet. I've got a Google Doc that has all of the dinosaur data, and it's all sortable. I put part of that doc up on, copied and pasted it and put it on my website, my WordPress site, which is JurassicStrategies.wordpress.com, I believe. And I've got a lot of other information there. But I'm just trying to figure out, based on where I am, what I need, what population limits are. I think this one in particular, I was trying to strategize. How do I get the Pachycephalosaurus, the Stygimoloch, and the Nodosaurus? What do I do to get all of them in the same area? I think my solution is to take the 3 Triceratops that I have left over that are in a separate pen. They're in that
I guess this means
the
congratulations are
third
in
going
order.
from top to bottom in the northeast corner. They're in the third topmost pen. I'm going to take those 3. I'm going to add them to the Nodosaurus pen. That's going to put the Nodosaurus at 7 overall population, which they are okay with. And then I've got the other pen free for my 6 Pachycephalosaurus and my 4 Stygimoloch. Both of the Pachy and the Stygi are pretty efficient dinosaurs, so I'm on them with aggressive instincts as much as I can. Put a whole bunch of them out. It's going to give me a nice chunk of dinosaur rating. Still dealing with the sick dinosaurs. Got 2 teams out there. It's easy to hit these big sauropods. I think they just take a lot of medication in order to make them feel better.
Setting additional task.
This contract looks interesting. To me, anyway. What do you think?
So here I am, I'm 4 hours, 15 minutes, 4.5 hours, something like that into the game. And I'm still canceling contracts. That is just the way that I roll. Now, I do keep the island rating. Like with the dinosaur rating earlier, it just gives me a progress bar almost on how close I'm getting, and it's a little bit more accurate and easier to see than having to go to the management page.
Setting additional tasks.
At this point, I just cannot believe that I have not cured all of these dinosaurs yet.
Task received.
It's just ridiculous how long it's taken to get all of my sauropods healthy. And I'm sitting here thinking, do I even want to release this Diplodocus? Is this going to get sick the moment that it gets out of its incubation lab?
Your park rating is up again.
And here we go, 4
I really
stars.
feel like I'm watching a future star.
So that was a little over an hour of video time, which is a little bit less than an hour of game time to get from 3 to 4 stars. And I think I get from 4-star to 5-star in about 27, 28 minutes, something like that.
No diseased dinosaurs.
So as I mentioned, I tranked the trikes. They're going to go into the pen with the
Heading to
Nodosaurus.
collect the asset.
They are
Collection request received.
my strategic mistake with lack of force in their pen earlier notwithstanding.
This is called a
They are very easy
Pachycephalosaurus.
dinosaurs
Its
to
notable feature
pacify,
is
to
that
make
it's
content.
thick-headed.
So they'll be fine
Like some
even in a
people
small
I know.
enclosure.
Who shall remain nameless?
I'm actually surprised. One of the things that I noticed when I first started this game, I've made every enclosure huge. I figured these are dinosaurs. They've got I kind of have some idea of how big an enclosure a dog would need, for example. So they're massively more than a dog.
We're doing
Yeah,
the
I've got to give them
improbable,
tons
and
and
you're
tons and
doing
tons of
the
space.
impossible.
And
Thanks.
the way that the game is set up, and people complain about Isla Nublar being small all the time. I think it's just where we are in terms of the devs made a decision that they wanted the visible or the graphic appearance of the game to be at such a level that prevents anything larger than Isla Nublar. And some of my games end up getting pretty choppy towards the end. I play on a laptop. I don't have a super high-powered computer.
Check this out.
And
A new
people who
contract
play
that
on
I
a
think
console,
you're really
they're
gonna
limited to
like.
the hardware that's in the console. And my guess is they would love to provide a bigger island if they
You've done good
could,
work
but
in the
they
past.
just
That's
can't
why I
without
know you are
forcing people
perfect
to
for this contract.
trim down all of their graphic settings. So that's my thinking as to why you've got these giant animals that are just so content being packed into these tiny pens. I mean, you can look at these packies and the pen that they're going to go. It's just not very big.
Collecting asset.
So Struthies are the only dinosaurs I think that I've had die, and I do check. I still got 2 that are alive. As long as I have 1 that's alive at the end of the game, that's all you need. They are the most efficient dinosaur in the game. I've repeated that ad nauseum, both on these videos and on others. But even though they're the most efficient, they're only 9 points a pop.
Yes. You've
And,
replenished
with
our
full
stock
genome.
of young dinosaurs.
So
That
at
will
the end of the
keep our
game,
research
9
operating
points, whether
at
it's efficient or not,
100%
is not going to make a big deal. At the beginning of the game, it does. At the end of the game, not so much. So as long as I end up with 1 live Struthi, then I'm content there. So let me look at my park rating. That is to make sure that I get close to 5-star dinosaur rating, that I've got all of my facility rating and where it needs to be. You can tell I'm a little bit low there. I do need to put some additional hotels down. I remember that as well around this time, I think. So in between getting the dinosaurs out. Dinosaurs is priority number 1. I can fix everything else within a couple of minutes and a handful of clicks. But I do need to, at some point here, 4:24. So I've got 23 minutes till of game time until I finish.
This contract has just come in. I'm giving you
Really, I
first shot
probably
at it.
could have gone a little bit faster, but yeah, my goal here was, even though I ended up with my best time so far, my goal was not as much to push a limit as it was to provide a video demonstration of my strategy. And pushing the limit, I've done that in some other games, and I mean, you find a good save point, and then you work a number of iterations till you get something that's the most efficient way to end the game. And I didn't do this here. This 447 was just a playthrough, start to finish, no restarts, no backtracking, no using saves, none of that. It's just straight through. You've seen, I've analyzed several mistakes that I've made as I've gone, but I tend to prefer to play like that. I have played other games where it gets into, you save and you reload and you wait for better scenarios, and that just always feels like cheating. Life doesn't let you do that. Even if a video game does, it just feels wrong. You can see I did research the bar, and the reason I did that, it's not the most efficient way, but it's the easiest way. You put 2 or 3 bars in, and all of a sudden your drink rating, you never have to worry about it again. And that's kind of what I end up doing. I figure for 300 grand, yeah, that might cost me 30 seconds more of game time. But my downside risk for not being able to get to 5-star facility rating with 10,000 dino rating by running up against drink rating issues, I figure that's just a worthy trade-off. The reason I went for the Metriacanthosaurus dig site there, I have no intention whatsoever of incubating a Metriacanthosaurus. But I mentioned in other videos, if you need cash, extract dinosaur or carnivore fossils, because the carnivore fossils are worth a lot more than the herbivore fossils. So my thinking is that here I'm at the end. Every little bit of money counts.
Heading to the feeder now.
And,
Understood.
if I knew how soon I would finish, I don't know, I'm still 20 minutes out at this point. I might
Asset
need to have
collection request
those
received.
feeders refilled. But that's, that's almost $1 million right there that I potentially could have saved. And I don't recall if I do it in this game or not, but in other games I definitely have let feeders just kind of go empty. As long as their health rating doesn't dip. Their hunger rating can go down, but their health rating isn't going to start going down until hunger rating is into the red zone, I believe. So they can be hungry and healthy, and if they're hungry and healthy, then that's fine with me. Owen Grady would not approve. Real or fake? All right, I've gone around to all of my facility places, and again, once I hit 4 stars, the only thing I research is the sickness, and that's because if I get a bug, that'd be pretty terrible. So I checked my facility rating. I'm still not quite there. So drink is an issue. I just finished researching the bar, and so I figure, well, let me put down some bars. Figure this one will get pretty much anything that's down in the south part. Maybe not the best strategy in hindsight. I think it's probably better to be closer to to where the guests want to be. Then I do the same thing up here, thinking I've got a couple of hotels and other stuff. And, that should be close enough. That top one ends up not getting very many customers until I put a hotel right outside of it. Getting my Stygimolochs out. Got 2 aggressive instincts, which means I go back and I add the cosmetic gene. Jurassic's not the time to worry about what your dinosaurs look like. Yeah, I know everyone has their all of their favorite skins and cosmetic genes, and I don't research one. I've just got the whichever one. It might be Savannah that's available at the very beginning of the game, and that's the only one. If a dinosaur does not have that, then they're going to be their whatever the base color is. And if adding a cosmetic genome change is going to get them below 80% viability, where I've got my kind of threshold set, then I don't worry about it there either. Alright, I still do need more hotels here. So I figure This is hotel number 6, I think. Figure I'll put it close to that bar and maybe increase my drink rating a little bit. The reason I end up going to the menu so much is that I hit escape like a maniac to get out of menus.
That already, I suspect. Still,
if you hit escape when you're in the game, then you go to the that menu right there. So it's not that I'm quitting or starting over, or saving, or anything like that. And
Your percentage is increasing.
cutting the video later.
This means you are doing well.
I just
So look at it as a compliment.
just hit escape too many times to get out. All right, I'm starting on this kind of southern sauropod pen. This is the first game that I'd started using the aggressive instincts mods after doing a bunch of math with them. And I think really it's probably the aggressive instinct that was the biggest strategy upgrade in terms of cutting my time from 506 to 447. I think that was a lot of it.
En route to feeder.
But it turns out I don't think that I really need very much in that second sauropod pen. If I were to start the game over, or next time I play, I might end up, I don't know, I'd have to do a little bit of math, but I might be content with just the 8 Diplodocus, 5 Brachiosaurus, 7 Camarasaurus that I've got in that northern pen. And then have another smaller pen for more Dilophosaurus. Because the Dilophosaurs are more cost efficient, and at the end of the game you can pump them out. There are several advantages that come with Dilophosaurus. Number one is that they are, like I said, more cost efficient. Number two is that they're lower price.
take the contract.
So
I have a
you can
feeling
kind of nibble
it'll be
at
worth it
your
in the long
dino
run.
rating a little bit more.
For both of us.
Trying to figure out what the issue is, why they're all just crowded there, and then I realized that I think the gate was closed. And here I'm trying to decide, do I do more Diplodocus? And I think I settle for Dilophosaurus.
Another win for the science division.
All right, this is hotel number 7. At this point, I should have enough buildings to get to and maintain 5-star rating in terms of facility rating. So it's just a question of pumping out enough dinosaurs and enough variety.
We can always use a few more
And
resources.
here you can see
Here's our chance.
from
to
here
help.
on out, I don't I don't pay attention to contracts at all. I'm getting close to, well, I guess I finished this one,
Really
it's,
great job
it's a
on
gimme.
that contract.
but I don't get rid of the Salt T-Rex contract, which there's no way that I'm going to complete. All right, getting close to 5-star facility rating, and I'm starting to figure out what else do I need to do in order to get that up to 5-star.
Person of your skills.
It might just be that I need this last hotel. All right, I do save the game here. The reason is that I figure I'm pretty close to the end. If I, if I want to try, releasing a whole bunch of dinosaurs and it does not work out, then I'm going to have somewhere where I can come back and, restart from. I didn't end up having to do that, though. I think right here I'm looking and starting to do math in terms of what are the final dinosaurs that I need. How many dinosaurs, how many species do I have? What else do I need to add? And, do all of this when you're in this menu, because this menu does not add time to the game. It adds time to what it takes to finish, but all of this, none of this time that I'm sitting here in the menu comes off of my 447 time. So I realize I don't need any Diplodocus at this point. I don't need that type of numbers. So I have to add a success rate because all of my Dilophosaurs are modified, but yeah, that's a worthwhile thing to do. Got a bunch of empty feeders, and I think I just leave them from here on out.
That is a textbook example of doing it right.
So I went to breed Dilophosaurs, but I didn't have enough money. That's why I had to back out of there. I think once that hotel is online, I should be at 5-star facility.
Dr. Dewar here
We're
with
very
another
close to it.
contract for you to look over.
So get some Dilophosaurus going. The reason for that is
Request acknowledged.
it's just to add more points. So I decided, I do have those dinosaurs up there. I don't want them to go hungry and their health to go down. So I need to get some feeders to where they're going to be okay. I just delete that other feeder. So here's where I go through and I find all the dinosaurs that I have not bred yet, and I breed pretty much one of each of them. So I think it's the Archaeornithomimus, the Maiasaura, the Parasaurolophus, the Gallimimus, if I remember. And unhappy Triceratops. Go figure.
En route to repair.
Something about this game and ceratopsids. But I've got so few animals up in the far north pen that at that point I figure, yeah, they can all just kind of stay up there. That's fine. Nothing like a last minute breakout where I get really lucky and the dinosaur breaks the fence and then just sits there.
Increased income gives us more flexibility for our research. Thanks.
Get a little lucky with all of that right there. Here I am at the very end of the game, and all right, all my Triceratops are now in that other pen. They're going to be happy there. I got a Struthiomimus down with the Notosauruses, and we'll make a lick of difference to them.
Hey, I just received a new contract you are definitely going to want to check out.
As I'm watching, my end game play here really is not that great. In all honesty, I think that there's probably a lot of room for me to get better. I've got $1.7 million. I've got the Dilophosaurs that are going to be getting pretty close to being ready in that other Hammond lab.
The way they look at me.
Getting them out a little bit faster. Here, go check on them. Yep. So maybe I got them out on time, but there's a whole slew of other dinosaurs that I need to release for their variety, not bonus, but the mitigation of the variety penalty. And I don't get on top of that fast enough. I probably could go back and replay, the last 30 minutes of the game and chop 5 minutes off of my time or something like that. But I don't think it's worth it. I'll just probably start a new game and see if I can improve in a lot of different areas. All right, Chasmosaurus, Maiasaura, Parasaurolophus, Torosaurus.
Ladies and gentlemen.
And then I get rid of the success rate. All of these are at 100% except for the Gallimimus. And so I think double check. Getting pretty close. About 9,500. So once these guys are all done, I'm figuring I might need a little bit more, but I'm still waiting to see if all of my Dilophosaurs are released. I think another one just got released. Depending on that, I might have enough. Might have enough dinosaurs. Check one last time. Drink rating is the real bugaboo.
We're trying to build trust here. Denying your dinos water does the opposite.
That expedition was a success in large part because of you. Take a bow. But don't expect me to clap.
Alright, I've got $2.4 million just sitting there. I don't know why I'm spending time on that. Again, I think that there's a lot of ways that probably my play can be improved at the end.
This, and you should.
Should have got like this. I should have gotten these guys out a lot faster. I know that just 4 more of these plus plus the other dinosaurs that I'm incubating is going to be more than enough to to get me where I need to be in terms of overall dinosaur rating. So at this point, it's just a waiting game. How long is it going to take for me to get them out? And then what in the world do I need to do to get to 5-star facility rating? I've got all the hotels I need. It's just a matter of getting all of the drink rating up and everything like that. This is me doing my final count to figure out how many I'm going to end up with, how many species. Alright, so these guys, I close all the gates. They're just going to basically be released, and then that is it. Alright, I feel like I finally hit the jackpot in terms of where the drink rating really was needed. 1092. That should get me to 5-star facility rating. So go in and double check. Yep, sure enough, 5-star facility rating. Drink rating up to 82%. At the end of the day, everything does need to be I think everything does need to be above 80 at the end, or pretty close. Yeah, just dip down again. There's still a little bit of kind of black magic that goes into facility rating, but the principles are all simple enough to understand. Do another save game just to make sure, in case I prematurely let all my dinosaurs out, and then I don't hit the 10,000 points. That's happened before, where I've released a bunch of dinosaurs and then they start fighting, and then you end up getting every dinosaur you release, you get closer to 10k points, but then dinosaur health goes down, something dies, you lose points, dinosaurs get sick, it's all nasty. So this is kind of, I usually do this at the end. This is kind of one of my, fail safes. I can always release a Deinonychus out into that little area, and it won't find anybody. Now we'll go crazy, but I figure, yeah, I've got the money. I might as well just breed a whole bunch of stuff. All right. One more dino that I can breed. Get the Gallimimus going. All right, now that these guys are ready, I think that I just go for a mass release, and I think that is, no, I do not want to cancel the Dilophosaurus and get $34 back. Release all of them. I think that's going to get me to 10K, so go to park rating facility. Yeah, everything's above 80%, but I'm still not quite at 5-star. I think I dropped prices. That's what I end up doing. Nah, I put a little. That's what it is. They're above 80, but those things are too far away. Those two hotels, they're not very happy. So I'll just put in a quick restaurant. This right here is a little bit of a waste of time. Alright, pretty gosh darn close. 597, that's that. I'm going to be at 99.40 once I get rid of the variety penalty, and at that point, do one final save. Again, just being conservative. I go ahead and start releasing everything else. And this should put me over 10,000 with plenty to spare. I actually should be about, my guess is about 150 points higher. Should be at about 10,150. And that's not including any of the Deinonychus or Dilophosaurus that I've got up there. So I just need to check the restaurant and make sure that it's in business, fully staffed. I don't worry about profit at this point. Go in and check my numbers, and I should be at 5-star. Yep, at 5-star. And I just watch. You'll see a dinosaur come out, and that variety penalty goes from minus 294 to.
Okay, fun fact: this Maiasaura was the first dinosaur in space. It was on Space Lab in 1985. How do I know that? It's in the travel brochure. They like to butt heads too. Well, we left that out.
So 294 to 146. That is not a 100-point dinosaur. That is the effect of the increased variety. And I'm at 99.22. All I need is one more dinosaur to come out. Release the Dilophosaurus. That should get me there. And the Torosaurus that's coming out as well. And the challenge mode is complete.
No one has done it as successfully as you
4
have.
hours, 47 minutes was my new fastest time. And at the time of recording this commentary, it's still my fastest time, because I've been spending all my time doing commentary instead of trying to beat it. And right in time, I get a storm rating, but I end up going, doing a brief tour. I've got a lot of Dilophosaurs in the top right. Got a handful of Dilophosaurs in the center, sauropods. Then I figure I'm going to go ahead and save this right here just in case I need to come back and get a picture of my park or anything like that. Pretty much everything is, what you've seen along the way. Dracorex, Ankylosaurus, Crichtonsaurus in the bottom left. Velociraptors with 3 Ceratosaurus in the bottom right. And then over here I've got my Ceratopsids, I've got my Stygimolochs and Pachycephalosaurs. I've got my Nodosaurs with a handful of Ornithomimids. And then a bunch of random dinosaurs that I released at the last minute.
Dr. Grant was obsessed with
and
your
between
latest
all of that,
creation.
I
He believed
think
that this
about
dino
100
was one
dinosaurs,
of the
something like that. But that is the game. So thank you all for watching, and good luck on your own Jurassic difficulty challenges. Thanks, and I'll see you around.